and soon the two of them were deep in conversation. Gilbert served as a chaplain to the wounded soldiers at the 5th Northern General Hospital. He was also a Church of England clergyman and pastor of a church in Carlisle to the north. Norman eagerly told him how his father was a Church of England clergyman in Poole. As the two continued talking, Norman realized that one of his father's aunts lived in Carlisle. Gilbert informed him that he knew her well, and that she was an active member of his parish. When Gilbert moved on to talk to the next wounded soldier, Norman knew he'd made a friend. Little did he know that this new friendship would change the course of his life. Chapter 2. South Lodge. Norman stared at the fishing boats bobbing at anchor in the inner harbor. Moments later he heard the train's brakes squeal as they began slowing, and Lowestoft railway station came into view. The station looked like most of the other stations the train had stopped at on the 130-mile trip from Oxton. "Lowestoft! Lowestoft!" the conductor announced as he walked through the carriage. Norman was already on his feet. He wore the uniform of his new school, South Lodge. He grabbed his cap, pulled down his suitcase from the overhead luggage rack, and followed several other passengers leaving the train. Out on the station platform, he set down his suitcase and looked around. His mother had told him to wait for someone from South Lodge School to come for him. Before all the passengers had disembarked the train, a tall man with a black mustache waved at Norman. "Might you be young Master Grubb?" he inquired as he got closer. "Yes, sir," Norman said with a nod. "Well," said the mustachioed man, "I'm Arthur Phillips. The boys at school call me Mr. Arthur. Do you have everything?" "Yes," Norman said. "The school's half a mile away. It's a pleasant walk south along the waterfront," Mr. Arthur said as the two set off toward a nearby bridge. "We're crossing over the entrance to Lowestoft Harbour. Lowestoft is a major fishing port, and the harbour has mooring for 1,000 boats," Mr. Arthur said as they walked. "And do you know what that is?" he asked, pointing to a piece of land jutting into the ocean just north of them. Norman studied the rocky promontory. "That's Lowestoft Ness, the most easterly point in the United Kingdom. Head east from here across the North Sea. And what's the nearest country you will come to?" Mr. Arthur asked. Squinting against the afternoon sun as he looked out across the sea, Norman thought for a few moments before saying, "Holland?" "Ha! Quite right, lad. Just 110 miles straight across. The closeness accounts for the railhead here in Lowestoft, and the busy docks as ships ply between the two countries." Norman nodded. He sensed he was going to learn a lot of history and geography at his new school. Once across the bridge, the two of them walked south along the esplanade. They crossed Claremont Road as it bisected the esplanade and continued south a short distance until Mr. Arthur turned into the courtyard beside a sturdy, 3-story red brick building with large bay windows on the front 2 stories. "Here we are at South Lodge. Your home for the next 5 years," Mr. Arthur said, and pointing across the street, he added, "Now, isn't that some view?" Norman looked across the street. Beyond some low sand dunes, the expansive blue ocean was dotted with whitecaps to the horizon, the shoreline broken only by a small pier that stretched out into the water from the beach. Despite the wonderful view, Norman forced back tears. It seemed impossible for him to imagine living in this place until he was 14 years old. He already missed his family, and Lowestoft was nothing like the beautiful village of Oxton, way to the northwest in Nottinghamshire, where Norman had lived since the age of 2. Over the next few days, Norman settled into his dormitory room at South Lodge School and got used to eating the stodgy food served in the dining room, keeping up with the tight schedule and being constantly